So the recording is started and you're the host now.
मूर्तिमत्यवृन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनश्लाघ्या चक्षुरुन्मीलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे चैतन्यमभिस्तं स्थापितमेन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदामयं ददाति स्वपदातिकं वन्देऽहं गुरो श्रीपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सावनाथं मितं तां सजीवं साहैतं साधुतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगणा ललिता श्रीशाखावितां जय कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। Welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita chapters. Today we are reaching the concluding portion of the third chapter. We will try to complete shloka number 3.41 to 3.43. Before going into let us before going to the shloka, let us do a recap. So just one moment. So in the overall scheme of things, in chapter 3, we saw Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. So that was the first part. And even if you are not qualified for Karma Yoga, we should practice acting. So Karma Kanda procedure is also approved by Krishna. And even if you are good in practicing Jnana Yoga, it is better to practice Karma Yoga and be an example so that people will act rather than renouncing and going for renouncing activities. Then Krishna talks about what is difference between Karma Yoga and Karma Kanda. That is shloka number 25 to 29. And shloka number 30 to 35, we saw how Karma Yoga elevates us. So there is something which stops us from elevating, that is lust. So Krishna is talking about lust in shloka number 36 to 43. We have not touched the Krishna's names, Janardhan and Keshava. We will address that as we progress. Then let us go to the last section. That is section number 30, section, which is covering shlokas number 36 to 43. Overcome lust. So, overcome lust is the main obstacle of Karma Yoga. So, what is that? Lust is insatiable, which causes material entanglement and covers our knowledge and influences us in three different degrees. So that is like a smoke, then the embryo in the baby, the embryo. All these are different symptoms of lust, or different types of covering of the intelligence. So how can one conquer? So this is the area where we will be discussing today. To a large extent, we covered shloka number 41 in our previous discussions. So today our discussion will be majorly on shloka number. We will try to conclude shloka number 41, and then we will go to shloka number 42 and 43. So shloka number 41 is Tasmana Indriyana Yanya Bharata Rishabha Papana Prajayena Jnana Vijnana Nasana. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of Bharatas. So we talked about Bharata Rishabha, bull among the Bharatas. We understood how bull is talking about a very strong personality. And so being a great person, he has to regulate his senses and then overcome the lust. So he is Bharata Rishabha not because of his strength, mental strength or bodily strength. It is his strength to regulate the senses, that which Krishna is talking about. So if we have to conclude this, we can talk about children, how children are brought about. If the children are brought up in a from the childhood in Krishna conscious surroundings and knowledge, without too much exposure to sensual stimuli, and where I have a very good exposure to a good culture, then bad impressions do not come in them. So as they grow, to young man and then come to adulthood, become grastas, then the bad impressions cannot drag them away. If somebody comes to Krishna consciousness after having bad impression, these bad impressions act like ghosts which keep haunting. However, the Krishna consciousness is powerful, then these haunting ghosts of our bad impressions, um, and Krishna consciousness, regular association of devotees and proper chanting, hearing and chanting can drive away these ghosts, and even a neophyte can become an exponent practitioner. So whatever be our background, we should adapt to Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is explaining two meanings of ado. So this he is saying that from the childhood. So now Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following regulatory principles of devotional service. So from any stage of life or from time of understanding its urgency, one can begin regulating the senses in Krishna consciousness. So it could be from the very beginning or from any time. Krishna consciousness should be practiced. So that is very, very important. So that is a shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, which Sri Prahlad Maharaj speaks. Kaumara acharet pragno dharma bhagavatam ya durlabam manusham janma tadapi adruvam artadam. That means the Prahlad Maharaj is saying one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. So Kaumara means childhood, tender age of childhood. In other words, from the tender age of childhood, to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagement. The human body is most rarely achieved. Although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. So we know even swa alpa apiyasya dharmasya trayate makavat. Even it will protect us from going for greatest danger. So in the Vedic culture, we have this Garbhadan Samskara. So we should have from the Garbhadan Samskara, the Krishna consciousness should be there. This is to ensure that good soul and gets attracted into the womb of mother. So you see the so from any stage, it is very important. From any stage, this it is there, but it should be also from if it is done from the beginning, it is very good, but from any stage of life also it is good. So we need not worry about our background is of not much importance. There is one more shloka in Srimad Bhagavata 2.4.18. Kirata unandra pulinda pulkaja avira shumba yavana kasharya येने ये अन्ये च पाप यत् अपाश्रयाश्रया शुद्ध्यन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः किराट ऊन आंध्र पुलिंग कुलकष आबीर शुंभ यवना members of kasha race and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So our help is our help is available in the form of holy name. So we need to take holy name. We have to chant 16 rounds attentively. When we do that, automatically the bad impressions given which are there in our art, they go away. So now we need to understand something here. So in the shloka number 3.41 and 3.42, there is an hierarchy which Krishna is speaking. So we need to look into this. तस्मात्त्वम् इन्द्रियाणि आदौ नियम्य भारतर्षभ पाप्मनां प्रजायेन ज्ञान विज्ञाननाशः. This is on. We have to regulate these senses. Now let us go to shloka number 42. Indriyani parani ahur indriyebhya paramana manasastu parabuddhe yo buddhe paratastu sa. That means the working senses are superior to dull matter. Indriyani parani ahur. Mind is higher than the senses. Indriyebhya paramana. Intelligence is still higher than mind. Manasastu parabuddhi yo buddhe paratastu sa. The soul is even higher than intelligence. So this is the hierarchy which Krishna is speaking. So if you see here, so there is senses which is higher than sense objects are their part of matter. So senses get attracted to senses. Mind is above the senses, and above the mind is intelligence, and above the intelligence is soul. Indriyani parani ahur indriyabhya param mana. Mana means mind. Manasastu parabuddhe, yo buddhe parastastu sa. Saha means so. The self, not the person who is there in the body. So senses are superior to body, superior to sense is mind, superior to mind is intelligence, soul is superior to intelligence. So what is told in the verse is represented in this middle block. So this is what is told in this shloka. So Srila Prabhupada, if you see the purport, so Srila Prabhupada mentions these points in the purport. So above the soul is super soul. Below the senses are the sense objects. Thus, there are six elements in this hierarchy. The middle box here represents the conditioned soul. So our soul is there when it is bound by intelligence, mind, and senses, then it becomes conditioned souls. So Srila Prabhupada uses the term living entities, which refers to the conditioned soul. Soul also refers to the soul proper, just the soul alone. Living entity refers to soul, which is embodied in these elements. The embodied elements are nothing but both gross and subtle matter. So typically, sense objects are gross matter. Senses are attracted by the sense objects. Sense objects are actually inert. They don't have anything by on their own. For example, there is a delicious food. Delicious food is basically inert. Senses understand that the food is delicious, hence direct the living entity to pick it and direct it to the appropriate senses. In this case, the hand will move toward to the foot, and food will feed the soul through the mouth. So when it comes in contact with the tongue, it senses the taste. So sense gets the drive from the soul, which wants to enjoy. So the senses, the hand and the legs are karmendriya. They are the senses which move the body towards the sense object, and hands take the foot and they put it into the mouth where there is a sense which enjoys, and soul is giving this energy to the senses. So in a dead body there is no soul, and hence there is no energy. So sense gets the energy from the soul, which once again has the propensity to enjoy. So above the sense is mind. Mind can derive more energy from soul compared to senses. Mind is center of contemplation, which uses all energy in the gross and subtle body to do all the things to fulfill the desire of the conditioned living entity. So mind is like a memory space, and it also has a CQ which constantly tells what has to be done based on the memory available from the past impressions. So mind can still enjoy when we are sick. So if even if our tongue is not well, if we are having a fever, but the tongue cannot taste anything sweet because of the sickness, but mind can still contemplate on eating something sweet when the body comes over, no, contemplate on something which is going to happen in future. So when body comes out of the sickness, mind will think I can enjoy these things. So mind is also active in the sleep. Mind drives the dream. Mind fantasizes. Mind is a center point where all the senses report. So there is a very good shloka around this, which is shloka number 15.9. Shrotam chakshuhu sparshanam cha rasanam grahanam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. Srota means it is the ear. Chakshuhu means eyes. Sparshanam means tongue. Rasanam means nose. Grahana means sense of touch. So all this stuff. No, Sparshana means touch, Rasana means tongue, Grahana means smelling power. So these are the center. So it is like a palm, which is mind, and these five senses are the five fingers. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the shloka number 6.34. So this shloka is Chanchalami Mana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam Tashyam Nigram Manye Vayu Eva Sadushkaram. That means the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate. Pramati, agitating, Balavad, strong, Dridam, obstinate, and it is very strong, Parad. So Krishna, and to subdue it, I think is more difficult than controlling the wind. So Arjuna is an expert archer. So he can control wind using a wind weapon using his bow and arrow, but he is not able to control his mind. So Prabhupada here is in the purport is quoting an interesting verse from Katha Upanishad. Atmanam Ratinam Vidhi Shariram Ratam Evacha. The individual is a passenger in the car. Okay, let us complete this shloka. Buddhim tu Saratim Vidhi Mana Pragaraham Pragraham Evacha. Indriyani Aham Ayan Ahur Vishyam Steshu Gochara Atmendriya Mano Yukta Bhokteti Ahur Manishina. So, individual is the passenger in the car of material body, and intelligence is the driver. Buddhintu saratyan vidhi. Vidhi means no. Mind is driving instrument. Mana prakaram evacha. And the senses are the asas. Indriyani ayan ahut. The self is the enjoyer or sufferer in association of mind and senses. Atmendriya manoyukta bhokteti ahu manishinaha. So it is understood by great thinkers. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass efficacy of medicine. So, Prabhupada is here comparing the intelligence to medicine and this infection to the drive in the mind towards sense object. So, if we apply this, then here what happens? Mind is powerful than senses because even when senses is inactive, mind is uh, good. But with intelligence, mind can be brought in control. That is what is told in this shloka in 6.34. And that is what Krishna is also telling in this shloka. So if you see here, shloka number Manasastu Parabuddhi. Powerful than mind is the intelligence. So, so what happens is that this way, so the mind is superior than senses, above the mind is intelligence. So now we need to understand why intelligence is superior to mind. Intelligence as intelligence as the capacity to control the mind. We find ourselves trying to do some things, but we are unable to do it. Why? Our boss at office shouts at us, but we do not shout back at him because we know that we will lose job if we shout back to our boss. This is intelligence control over mind. This is typical hierarchy during thinking and acting. So intelligence brings helps to control the mind, and it because it gives the mind the sense of time, place, and circumstances. In some cases, what happens is that the horse senses will become wild, and hence the reins are unable to control the horses. And the chariot driver gets bewildered by the situation. A chariot topples, that means the soul topples, soul falls down. Similarly, the senses attracted by the sense objects may sometimes drag the mind and intelligence away, thereby driving the living entity to commit a sinful act. This results in fall down of the living entity. This is an exceptional situation of hierarchy. In normal situation, the hierarchy is as depicted in the picture here. I am just showing it. Okay. So in normal situation, this is the hierarchy. But when somebody is when somebody is under the influence of liquor, or when somebody is under the influence is is getting attracted to women, or is in womanizing kind of mindset, or one who is in hunting, one who is gambling, his intelligence is stolen. So in such case, actually this are the four reasons which Vikarna tells to Duryodhana when there is a question in the Asat Sabha. So he tells that the whatever judgments Yudhishthira has made is not correct. That means he has put his brothers and his wife as a part of the bet. So that is not correct, because one who is under the influence of liquor, one who is womanizing, who is hunting, one who is gambling, his faculty of thinking, which is intelligence, is lost. So that is why we should avoid meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. When we do this, our intelligence is lost. So about the intelligence, so this intelligence is very, very important. So intelligence comes up higher in the hierarchy. Above the intelligence is soul. Why is soul considered above intelligence? Intelligence is dependent on soul. Ultimately, soul is giving the consciousness. Without consciousness, nothing can happen. This consciousness gives energy for the entire body, senses, mind, and intelligence. The owner of the chariot should tell the chariot driver where he has to go, and accordingly, the chariot driver drives the chariot. The chariot driver directs the horses to run at an appropriate speed and direction. This way, the owner reaches the destination safely. Same way, the soul understands that there is always suffering by leading a material conscious life. Hence, soul desires to lead a Krishna conscious life. Thus, it directs the intelligence to train the mind and senses in Krishna conscious activities. This purifies the senses. Thus, soul sticks to the path of self realization and reaches Krishna's abode. The main condition required here is that soul should understand. So, soul should understand that following Krishna conscious way of life is very, very important. There is a problem in the hierarchy. The attraction between the sense and sense object is very strong. As shown in the picture, if you see senses and sense objects, this connection is very strong. So, sense objects can pull the senses. So, soul, intelligence, mind will simply fall down. Same way, if we do not have any control over senses, they will simply rush to the sense object, and we will all fall down. In other words, the soul will fall down. This is due to the default attraction of the senses to the sense object. This is how the senses have acted from time immemorial. So, in Vajagovindam song, uh, Lord Shankaracharya prays that पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनं ये संसारे बहुदुष्टारे कृपया पाहे पारि मुरारे. That means I have slept in the womb of millions of mothers. So millions of senses we have enjoyed in the past, and we got attracted to this because of our attraction to the sense objects, and it has pulled on. The first step which Krishna says we need to bring is this regulation of senses so that it can sense mind, intelligence, soul can get connected to the super soul. So this is a very important part. Now let us go to shloka number 3.41 or just to recap. So in 3.41, Krishna is telling Tasmatvam Indriyani Ado Niyamya Bharata Rishabha Papmana Prajahiyena Jnana Vijnana Nyasam. Um, that means, O Arjuna, best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb the great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses. So regulating of the senses, very important. Example, if a man is attracted to women or vice versa, that attraction is attraction of sense to sense object. How do we regulate this? We regulate it by marriage or vivaha samskara. Krishna emphasizes this sense regulation as the first point because we cannot think anything higher if there is no regulation of senses. Without regulation of senses, there is no seriousness possible in spiritual thinking or spirituality. The lust is described as the greatest destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. It is told in 3.41 as Jnana Vijnana Nasna. Jnana means of knowledge, Vijnana means scientific knowledge of the pure soul. The basic idea is that this downward pull of sense to sense object can be checked by first regulating the senses. By doing this, we are able to regulate the connection between the sense object and the senses. So we can easily curb the influence of lust. And then we focus on knowledge and fulfill the urge for self-realization and start our journey in the path of self-realization. That means first we need to disconnect or regulate the disconnect lust, impact of lust. However, this is not complete. One is to cut from negative engagement. The other thing is to have positive engagement in the journey of self-realization. This Krishna will explain in the next verse. So in 3.42, the 3.42 in this verse, Krishna is establishing the hierarchy in the way of senses, mind, intelligence, and how they work and how they interact with one another. In the next slogan, we will talk about how to do positive engagement. So if you see in the Trita Upanishad, the soul has been described as Mahan, the great. Therefore, soul is above all, namely the sense objects, the senses, the mind and intelligence. Therefore, directly understanding the constitutional question of soul is the solution of the whole problem. So, the constitutional question of the soul is to render service unto the supreme personality of the goddess. So, that is the most important thing. And you can see here, but even though the soul is master of intelligence and mind, senses also, still, unless it is strengthened by the association with Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down due to agitated mind. So we need to have positive engagement. What is that positive engagement? Let us see shloka number 3.43. एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा संस्तभ्यात्मनमात्मना जहि शत्रु महाबाहो काम रूपा दुरासना. Let me share my screen. एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा संस्थाप्यात्मनम् आत्मना जाय शत्रु महाबाहो काम रूप durasada. So this is the last verse in this chapter. So here, what does it mean? Thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to material senses, mind and intelligence. Oneself means he is telling soul. Considering soul to be superior to material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should study the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. Samstabhyatmana atmana, by studying the mind by deliberate intelligence. And thus, by spiritual strength, Jai Shatru Mahabaho, then with that strength, by this stabilizing the mind, studying the mind, one can gain spiritual strength, and then we can conquer the insatiable enemy known as lust. So Krishna here is encouraging Arjuna that he can do this because he is a Mahabaho. Mahabaho means one who is mighty harmed one. So mighty harmed one here is not only in physical strength, but also he has capability to regulate his senses, and hence he can conquer the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. So oneself here refers to the living entity, that is Jai Shatruma, Evam Buddhe Param Buddha Samstabhyatmanam Atmana, studying the mind. Yeah, so this oneself is referring to soul. Krishna is emphasizing the use of intelligence to situate ourselves in spiritual platform. In the hierarchy, the mind is below the intelligence and soul is above the intelligence. Evam buddhe param buddhva, evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana. So using the intelligence and by knowing that soul is higher than intelligence, we may feel like we are the body, but we need to use the intelligence and the come to the point that we are soul. We are much higher than this body. Intelligence is to be used to understand our constitutional position. Sometimes intelligence is driven by Paramatma, sometimes it is driven by the books of great acharyas. So our idea of distributing books, Prabhupada books, is to ensure that we improve the intelligence of the people so that they know that they are not this body, but they are soul. Samstabhyatmanam atmana. That means deliberate spiritual intelligence. We have to use the bring out the intelligence. With this understanding, that means that we are not this body, but we are soul. We should situate the mind in spiritual platform. How we can situate the mind in spiritual platform? This can be by thought and action, which are dovetailed in the service of Krishna. That means devotional service. This will ensure that we can overcome the pull of lust. So when we are using the intelligence to overcome the bodily platform and understand that we are soul, we are constitutionally we are here to serve Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is also super soul in our art, then this helps us to move from material happiness to spiritual happiness. This helps us to give up the sense enjoyment. So in the hierarchy, we have sense objects in the bottom. So that connection gets regulated. And we also have a connection with super soul who is on the top. So this helps us to give up sense enjoyment and ends the lust. This is the step-by-step process to overcome the lust by situating ourselves in spiritual platform. So what does this situating in spiritual platform mean? Samstapyatmanam atmana. I'm just sharing my screen once again. So by situating samstapyatmana, by studying the mind in deliberate, what does this mean? So in the flow of Bhagavad Gita, this point is yet to be discussed or elaborated. Krishna has talked about himself in the flow or talked much about himself. No, he has not talked much about himself in the flow of Bhagavad Gita. The best way to situate our mind in spiritual platform is to think of Krishna. That point has not come yet, but it will soon come. This this result, so when we constantly engage ourselves in thoughts of Krishna and actions for Krishna, then it results in samstabhyatmana atmana. So there is one interesting shloka from Mukunda Maharaj Stotra of Kulashekara. So it says, Madana Parihara Sthiti Madhye Manasi Mukunda Padara Vindam Dhamni Aranarayana Krishnana Krishnanuna Krishno Asi Smarasi Na Chakra Prakaramam Murare Parakramam Murare. O Cupid, abandon your residence in my mind. So Kulashekara Alvar is playing to Cupid. Cupid is the source of lust. Madana Parihara Sthiti Madhye Manasi, which is now the home of Lord Mukunda's lotus feet. Manasi Mukunda Padara Vindam Damni. You have already been incinerated by Lord Shiva's fiery glance. Harat Nayana Krishanuna Krishaha Asi. So why have you forgotten the power of Murari's kiss? Sam Rasi na Chakram Parakramam Murare. So this is interesting sloka. This Kulashekar Maharaj is one in he is talking about Cupid. Cupid is Kamadev. He is personification of lusty desire. Whenever someone is under lust, Kamadev shoots arrow on the person. In other words, when Kamadev shoots arrow at a person, he becomes lusty. This is usually shown by an arrow piercing in the shape of heart. This is arrow of lust. In Sanskrit, this is described as pushpaban. This means when it touches, it will be soft and smoothing or soothing. We will feel very good. But this is followed by hard harrow, which is painful. And this hard harrow drags us to the hell. Pushpaban means flower arrow, which is sweet in the beginning, and but painful and tormenting later. So Kulashekar Halvar is praying to Cupid, "Oh Cupid, abandon my mind." So our mind becomes the seat of lust, lusty desires. This means Cupid is already destroyed by Lord Shiva. So he's telling that you are already destroyed by Lord Shiva, whom you want to, in whom Cupid wanted to impregnate the desire, lusty desire. So Kulashekar Alva is praying that in my heart, Murari, who is Chakra Parakramam, he is the holder of powerful, he has the capability to hold Chakra weapon. So he is there in my heart. So why, Cupid, you want to run the risk of encountering Murari's disk? Already Lord Shiva has burnt your gross body. Now you only have the subtle body. Why you want to take risk of encountering Murari's disk? So here we can see the dependency of Lord, devotee on Lord, and we can see how he is confident of Lord's protection. So by invoking Lord Murari's presence in the heart, the lust and hence Kamadeva's arrow will never affect our heart, or our intelligence will remain steady, fixed in the service of Krishna. This means Lord Murari's presence will ensure that I get higher taste and hence will not focus on lower taste. The temptation which is a lower taste will not be appealing at all. This is key message of chapter 3. So once we have focused on Lord Krishna's service, the lower taste will not be appealing. So if I go to the block diagram here, so we can see that soul is directly connected to super soul. This indicates the direct affinity or direct relationship of Krishna with the intelligent souls. This is Preeti of the soul with super soul, which directly connects the soul with the super soul. This connection with the super soul hooks us for higher taste or higher plane, where we can be pulled out from the lower taste and simultaneously held up in the realm of higher taste. How we can hook this Krishna? How we can hook with Krishna? We can hook with Krishna. This connection is through the process of bhakti, through preeti or love for Krishna. In material condition, this direct connection is very, very difficult and it is not spontaneous. Thus, we need to take the process of regulation. This is the regulation of senses, which brings the subtle body in activities related with Krishna to process of sadhana bhakti. This was then the soul will be brought in service of Krishna. As at sadhaka stage, we do not have spontaneous attraction for Krishna. Thus, through sadhana bhakti, we cultivate a conscientious attraction for Krishna. Conscientious means cautious, attentive, focused, with great care. By doing this, we connect with Krishna through intelligence. This done in a slow and sure way, it is evam buddhe param buddhva. This means the intelligence is engaged in contemplation that I am not body but soul and hence engaged in the service of Krishna. My real happiness is in serving Krishna. So let the body let no, let me focus. Let me focus on serving Lord Krishna, not not enjoy my senses by engaging in sense enjoyment. So, evam buddhe param buddhva, by using our spiritual intelligence, thinking oneself to be spiritual, samstabhyatmanam atmana, we situate ourselves in spiritual platform. By doing this, we can conquer lust. This is Krishna's recommendation. Actually speaking, Krishna gives two recommendations, one in 3.41 and another in 3.43. So let's have a quick look at that. 3.43 is Evam Buddhe Param Buddha Samstabhyatmanam Atmana Jai Shatru Mahabaho Kamarupa Durasada. And the 3.41 is Tasmatum Indriyani Ado Niyamya Bharata Rashaba Papanam Prajayim Jnana Vijnana Nasana. So, in 3.41, Krishna says, Tasmatam Indriyani Ada, Niyamya Bharata Rishabha. In 3.43, Krishna is telling, Samstabhyatmana Matmana, situate oneself in spiritual platform. The practice of these two things, one can conquer the lust. That is, Jai Shatru Mahabaho Kama Rupa Durasada. So, one is regulating the senses. How do we regulate the senses? By following the four regulatory principles: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. When we do this, eating only Krishna Prasad, following Ekadashi rules, then getting up early in the morning, attending Mangalarti, chanting 16 rounds. When we do this, we regulate our senses. We regulate our senses. We ensure that our hearing and chanting there, our ears, nose, tongue, sense of touch, everything is properly regulated. So when we do this and when we chant Hare Krishna mantra is both sense regulation as well as situating in spiritual platform because it is giving intelligence. Then we read Prabhupada's books. When we read Prabhupada's books, it helps us to understand constitutionally that we are not this body, but we are spiritual. So this helps us to now these are the two advices which Krishna is giving, and this is how our day-to-day routine, our sadhana. ensures regulating our senses as well as situating ourselves in spiritual intelligence. This is how it happens. If you see sloka number 2.61, Ani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matpara vase yasendriyani tasya pragna pratishtita. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as man of steady intelligence. So this Tani Sarvani Samyamya is same as Tasvatam Indriyani Adav Niyamya Bharatarashava. Yukta Asita Matpara is same as Evam Buddhe Param Budva. Yukta Asita means engage, should be matpara in relationship with me, so which is devotional service. So the first step is restraint, control the senses by proper regulation, which will create a platform for us to chant Hare Krishna, think of Krishna. Without restraint, there is no way we bring positive engagement in service of Krishna. The second step is redirection. Krishna is telling this redirection is primarily through proper usage of intelligence. Through intelligence, one can understand that I am not body, I am soul. Bodily pressure cannot satisfy me. Only spiritual happiness can fully satisfy me. So let me engage in spiritual activities by serving Krishna and his devotees. So this is Evam Buddhe Param Buddhva. So this way one can conquer lust. So this is the main part, main thing here. So if you read the purport of Srila Prabhupada of this shloka, desire for lauding and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But by strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control material senses, the mind, and intelligence. Okay. Thus, the three locations of lust should be seat for Krishna consciousness, that is mind, intelligence, and senses. So Srila Prabhupada, the purport is also talking about the overall theme of this chapter. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by material senses and the mind, a steady intelligence directed towards one's pure identity. So the theme is one should not give up duty, but engage oneself in duty. The restraint of senses and engaging intelligence to situate in spiritual life is part of karma yoga. For us, it is bhakti yoga. By doing this, one can become situated in Krishna consciousness and turn towards Krishna and get freed from clutches of lust. So if you see this, this is the sum total of this chapter. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations, and artificial attempts to control the senses by so-called practice of yoga postures can never help a man towards spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence. Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purports to the third chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of karma yoga or discharge of one's prescribed duty in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So by this we come to the end of the third chapter. So in the next class we will start the fourth chapter, which is so next week there is a spiritual tour, and so I will not be there. So next class will be on 22nd of February 2020. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you very much. Thanks for giving an opportunity to talk about Srila Prabhupada's views on Bhagavad Gita and help a little bit in spreading this Krishna conscious movement worldwide. Thank you very much. वाचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।